So here in chapter 1, I am not going to read to you the chapter. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to read to you the chapter in any of the textbook here. I believe that you can read. So I have yet to be severely disappointed in this. So I'm going to keep, that strategy here moving forward. What I want to do is really just highlight the most important structural pieces as they're going to pertain to you. So that way you spend more time reading and doing than you spend, or waste time listening to me repeat the stuff that you've already seen. The really important takeaway from chapter 1, and that is not to say that the history of HTML is not important. That's not true. That is not to say that the different internet protocols that help create the web experience that we have are not important. That is certainly not true. But those are all elements I know you can read. And the understanding portion of that is superficial. It's not very deep at all. The other portions of this are going to be more important. On page 16, one of the most important things about the language, and I actually mean the lingo, right? The vocabulary that you and I would use as experts to be able to convey meaning. The big portion of that is actually located on page 16 in chapter 1. And it's the idea that HTML is what's known as a markup language. So what does that mean? It means that we use special designations to surround ordinary content, and those special designations influence how that content is being displayed. So what does that really mean? It really means that there are two things that you should be aware of for everything, essentially, that we do in HTML. Number one is that everything is comprised of either a tag or an element. A tag are the less than and greater than symbols. I'm just doing this on my iPad. Usually I would put the little less than and greater than symbols up here. Not today, folks, not today. So the less than and greater than symbols are the tags, right? So anything that goes inside of a tag is an element. An element is the keyword that HTML needs to be able to display something differently. So you'll see a bunch of those examples here in chapter 1. You'll see a bunch of examples here. I'm pointing to you in Eagle, which has only just recently stopped displaying on the screen behind me. I've got video there, a walkthrough for what you would see here from chapter 1. The Hello World example, we've got a much more verbose, a bigger example here in Eagle following this video for you. So tags and elements. Tags are the greater than or the less than and the greater than sign, and the element is whatever goes inside of there. So those tags and elements are going to be things like H1, H2, H3. Those are headings or headers. They make things bigger or smaller based on things. A paragraph tag, that's a paragraph, so it has a line above and below it, just the way that we've come to recognize paragraphs from using Microsoft Word all this while. We have things like an image element that is an actual picture, and we're going to spend a lot of time with images here in the text. So absolutely positively, do you need to read chapter 1? Yes, I'll tell you, actually a lot of the stuff from in here insidiously turns up in a project later on. So it is not to say that that information is not useful. It is just that the information, the rest of the information therein is superficial. There's not a lot of depth to it. Who created the internet? What year was it? How warm is it in Hawaii when they do these kinds of things? Those are bits of data that you can pick up really easily. The idea of a tag and an element, on the other hand, those are pieces of lingo that you're going to need to get right in order to convey to me questions that you have, and later on down the road, as you convey expertise to the next developer in the chain. Whoever is going to get your code after you see it, you're going to need to convey that properly. So the idea of the tags and the elements, the thing, the keyword that goes inside of there, those are going to be important to you as we progress, and that is here on page 16.